Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Phay, and welcome to the channel. You know, some people think my dad jokes are kind of childish. They're crazy. They're obviously full grown. Today, we're taking a look at Marvel United X-Men from Come On and Spin Master Games. In Marvel United X-Men, 1 to 5 players are going to take on the role of one of the different iconic characters from the X-Men team, and you're going to go up against one of the 4 major villains that are in this particular game. Now, you can either play as Wolverine, Cyclops, Storm, Jean Grey, Professor X, or even the Beast. Now, you can also go up against either Mystique, Magneto, Sabretooth, or even the Juggernaut. Now, you're going to assemble your team, you're going to assemble your villain, and who's going to come out victorious? Well, I'll tell you what, let me explain how the game plays, and I'll give you my final thoughts. So to play the game, the first thing you need to do is you need to get it set up. So take the mission guide, you're going to put it in the middle of the table, and then what you're going to do is you're going to take 3 of the 4 mission cards. Now, if you're playing Magneto, get rid of the civilian card and put the Cerebral card in there. Otherwise, leave the Cerebral card out, but put the civilian card in. And you're going to put those in the 3 slots down below. It doesn't really matter the order you put them in because they're all going to slide to the side once some of them get completed. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take all of the location cards, you're going to shuffle them up, and you're going to randomly deal 6 of them across the table. 1 up on the top of the mission guide, 1 on the bottom, and then 2 on each side. Then figure out what villain you want to play. Okay, now this is where, if you play Magneto, this is where theoretically you could actually take the civilian card and replace it with the Cerebral card. It doesn't really matter. But you're going to take the villain and you're going to randomly put him in one of those locations. You're going to take his deck of cards, shuffle it up real good, and put it beside him. Now, every player is going to sit there and whoever's going to figure out what characters you want to play. All right, take their deck of cards. Now, if you're playing Wolverine, Wolverine does have a starting card, so you're going to have to put that in your hand as one of your starting cards, and then you're going to shuffle it up, but then you're going to draw 2 more cards. So everyone has a hand of 3. You're now ready to go. Other than one last thing I forgot to say is every one of the starting locations that are out there, you need to make sure that you put a threat card. So the villain's going to have a set of 6 threat cards, randomly roll those, and you're going to put those threat cards, 1 on every location, and then the little purple icons, the threat tokens, put those on the card as well. And also on the locations, make sure you put the thug and the civilian tokens on them. They'll see they're kind of really light colored in the little boxes. The coloring and the icons are only there for setup. Once the tokens are put there, then you ignore those icons for the rest of the game on what goes where. Now you're ready to set up and play the game. Unless I forgot something, which I may have, but I think we're good. So, starting with the villain. The villain's going to take the first turn. So what you do is you take the villain card and you're going to draw it and you're going to place it. I usually place it above the location that's right above the villain. All right, and I put it so that it's kind of facing in because all the rest of the cards you're going to put to the right of that, and I'll explain that here in a second. But you're going to do what the card says, and you're going to do what it says from the top down. Now, every villain, pay attention to their dashboard because they may have an effect that's going to happen at the beginning of the turn before that card is drawn. If that happens, and I know Magneto has one, you deal with that. Otherwise, you just draw the card, but you do it from the top down, and you want to make sure you complete the one thing before you do the next one. So the first thing it says is, does he move? If he moves, he always moves clockwise, and it's going to give a number from anywhere from 0 to like maybe 5. Okay, move him to that location. Then you're going to look and see if there's a BAM. If there's a BAM, you're going to follow the BAM on the villain card, do what it says. Then you're going to look at the threat card where he's at. If there's a BAM on that card, you deal with that BAM as well. And then you go all the way around clockwise order and you deal with all the BAMs in order. So you always know the order they're going to happen based on where he is. Okay. Then the very bottom of that card is going to say where he's probably going to be putting some thugs out. And they're usually going to be like in his location and maybe the adjacents or maybe just in the middle. Also, there's a target icon. If he shows up and there's a threat with a target ability and it shows that on the card, then you deal with that at that same time as well. Otherwise, he's done. Okay. Now, you're going to determine who is going to go first. And once you determine who the first player is, it's going to go clockwise around the board for you guys at that point going forward. Okay, it's never going to change. But whoever's going to go first thing you're going to do is you're going to draw a card, and then you're going to play that card. And you're going to play that to the right of the villain card that you already put down. All right. And your cards are going to form a circle that's going to go all the way around the board. And it might even meet up at the very end, kind of trunk them down or scrunch them all in if you have to. But what you're going to do is if there's text on your card, you're going to be able to do the text of that ability, but then you're going to look at the icons in the bottom of the card, and the icons are going to tell you what you can do. Okay, so based on those icons, you may be able to damage a thug that happens to be in that location. If you do that, you take the thug and you're going to put it on the little thug card. Once there's 12 thugs in that card's going to go away, and then you're going to slide the cards down, and then something's going to happen on the villain track. A couple more on that here in a second. If you have the little star icon, which is, I think it's the heroic icon, that's going to allow you to be able to rescue a civilian from that location. Take the civilian. If you're playing with a civilian card, put that on that card as well. Like I said, nine cards on, or civilian tokens on that, and that card is going to be completed, and you're going to deal with that one as well. I'll continue on that later. If you have the move token, then you can move any direction you want. You can go counterclockwise or you can go clockwise, totally your choice. There's also a wild icon. And if it's a wild icon, you can do one of those particular 3 icons. Okay. And so what you're going to do is you're going to complete those 2 icons and your turn's going to be done. Now, the next player in turn, what they're going to do is they're going to figure out what card they want to play, and they're going to put it beside yours. Now, they're going to get all of the text that's on your card and also the icons in your card, but they're also going to get all the icons only on the card previously. Okay. Even if there was a villain card separating your card and the last character that went, you still get the icons on your character token. So you're always getting those, okay? And you complete your turn as well. Now, there's a couple things going to happen on your turn that you have to pay attention to, and also on the mission guide. The mission guide, as it sits right now, basically says that you're going to draw a card for the villain after every 3rd character turn. All right. Now, once you complete one of those 3 mission cards, they're all going to slide down, and that left one's going to open up, and that's now going to say that you're going to start doing a villain card after every 2 character turns. All right. Once you complete your second one, the cards will slide down. Now what it's going to say is now you can actually attack the main villain himself, and that's the goal of this game, is to be able to attack the main villain. Depending upon how many characters are actually in the game, depends upon how many hit points he has. But you cannot attack him until you've completed 2 of those cards. All right. So once you completed 2, now you can attack them. Okay. Now, the other thing you can do too is when you're doing your fight icon, you can actually use those fight icons or you can also even use some of the heroic icons to complete some of the threats. The threats, a lot of times they'll have like maybe 4 stars down the below, which means if you spin an icon, you can actually put a token on that. If you complete that threat card is going to go away. The purple token is going to go on the card for that. In the mission guide, and then there's going to be an end of turn effect that's going to happen on that particular location. So if you end your turn on that location, then something's going to be able to happen. You're going to be able to do something, maybe move to a different location, maybe rescue someone. Each one's a little bit different, so you just have to pay attention to what it says on the board. Okay. But basically, that's what's going to happen. You're going to go round and round and round. You're going to keep taking your turns back and forth. You're going to play the villain cards. You're going to play the character cards until you can defeat 2 of the missions, which may be rescuing civilians. It may be taking out the different thugs that are on the game. But once you complete 2 of those, if you can do enough damage to the villain to reduce his health down to 0, you'll win Marvel United. However, if it's your turn and you have no cards in your hand and you have no cards in your deck, you lose. If the villain goes to draw a card and put it down in the circle and there are no cards, you lose. So you want to make sure that you defeat him before any of those things happen, and that's how you win Marvel United. Okay, so that's kind of a really high level how to play Marvel United. I think I covered the majority of things in there. It's kind of sporadic all over the place. My brain's, well, that's how my brain is, pretty sporadic all over the place. But That's how this game is basically going to play. You're just going to keep taking your turns until you can eventually complete 2 of those missions, so that way you can go try to take out the villain. Now, what do I really think about this game? And I'll be, up front, this is a fine game. I like this game and I enjoy it. I've got a couple different versions of it, and I'll eventually get to doing the reviews of those other ones as well. I plan on it. But I think it's a fun game and I enjoy it, but it's not a game that I'm going to pull out and I'm going to put down on the table a ton. Okay. Because to me, the game gets it almost gets a little old, or it gets a little tiresome. Now, each one of the villains does play a little bit different. That's the one nice thing I do like about the game. But all the locations, there's only, 6 are on the board, and there's, I think, a total of 8 locations. So you pretty much know all the different locations are going to be out there. So the real difference in this game is, how are those villains going to act? How is each villain different than the other villain? Okay. So to me, this is one of those games where I'm going to pull it out, I'm going to play it until I can defeat one of the villains, and then I'm probably going to put it away. Maybe get it back out on another day and play it again. It's not one that I'm going to pull out, play, defeat a villain. I'm like, oh my God, this was an amazing game. I'm going to go play it again. It's a fun game. It's a satisfying game. It's an enjoyable game. But once I figured out the strategies and how to defeat the particular villains, then those villains kind of get a little easier for me, because I know what it's going to take. I know what I need to do. Now, the other thing about this game that I wanted to touch up on, and and I know a lot of people just absolutely love Marvel United, and I like Marvel United. I don't have a problem with it, and I will always play this game. But one of the things that I've noticed about this game, and this is kind of one of my biggest downfall with this game, is one of the things that I found is you always want to try to complete the 2 mission cards so you can attack the villain at about the same time. If you can manage to defeat both, or take out both of those villain cards, so that you can actually attack him, but at the same time, he's going to start putting a card down every 2 character plays. If you can manage to do those in the same turn, that's drastically going to help you win this game. And the reason is because if you just defeat one really fast and it takes you a long time to defeat the other one, well, he's dropping cards out there every 2 character plays rather than every 3, which can really add up, and it can really speed that game up really fast. Okay. And it can also make it harder for you depending on the villain that you're playing, because all his bad stuff is going to constantly be happening. However, if you can manage to get it to where you have, like, say, all three of those mission cards, to where, you just have one more token left to put on them, and then just go complete them, then all of a sudden the game gets a lot easier for you, because then at that point you can now go defeat them, and it opens everything up as to how you're going to be able to do stuff. You're not struggling as much. But the one thing you really got to pay attention to on this game is you got to pay attention to the villain's abilities. For example, I'll use Magneto for example. Okay, so Magneto, the nice thing about him is he's going to be able to throw civilian tokens on the opposite side of the board to him, which is great. But at the same time, if there's ever no civilian tokens on the board, you lose, he wins. Okay, so he's one of those characters that you have to really pay attention to overruns, because if you ever get an overrun of civilians and thugs at a location, well, it takes all of the civilians in that location and both adjacent locations and flips them all to thugs. So technically, if you don't have civilians and at least opposite ends of the board at all times, then there's a really good chance you're going to lose, because at the beginning of his turn, he's going to place one, but at the same time, you got to really pay attention to those overruns. But it's also one of the games where, and I can understand why they take the civilian token out, you almost don't want to go rescue any civilians at all. You just want to leave all the civilians out there, because, well, an overrun is going to flip them all anyways. So you don't want to help speed up his victory conditions. You really want to take care of your own victory conditions. So that's just one of those things. So I love the way the game plays. I love how every villain is a little bit different. Okay, that's fun. They say Sabretooth is the easiest one. Magneto, he's a pretty tough one. I hear, Mystique, she's supposed to be one of the harder ones. I like how they all play different. But what I find is, once you figure out the strategies, how to defeat one of that particular villain, every time I play that villain, he's not so difficult anymore. At that point, what I have to do is I have to figure out, okay, what would be the most difficult characters to go up against? So, for example, if you want to go murder someone really, really fast, you want to throw Wolverine in there, because Wolverine can do a bunch of damage really fast. His deck is designed for more damage, whereas, Jean Grey's deck is not. All right, Cyclops' deck, it's kind of a mix between a lot of things. So that's one of the things you can actually do as well. But for me, it's a fun puzzle. I enjoy it. This is a game that I'll probably not necessarily pull out with my game group, but I'll pull this one out with, say, my grandkids when they get a little older, or I'll pull this out with some teenagers and play it with them. I think this is a game that they're all just going to absolutely love, and just have a ball playing. The other cool thing I like about this game, honestly, is I love the way this game looks when it's on the table. I love the mission guide in the middle. I love the locations are on the outside. You're constantly going around it. And then those cards, they just kind of build up. They start and they're just kind of going around and around and around. And eventually they end up. And I think this game looks fantastic when it's on the table and it's all set up and you're getting towards the end of the game. But boy, I'll tell you what, it can get really tense there towards the end when you've got two of those missions completed, or even three. If you can get that third mission completed, then you get a bonus for yourself. So if you do the two, try to get the third. But man, it just gets really tense down there towards the end, because once you can go after them, it just really opens things up. You're getting all the way down there to the end of the game, and you're just doing everything you can to survive. So can you figure it out? It's really good. That's the one thing I really like about this game, is I love figuring out that puzzle. But once you figure it out, you know what? The game just kind of really slows down. I really like the game. So is it one I'd recommend? Yes, I would recommend this game. But it's not a game that I'm going to pull out and play all the time. It's a game I'm going to have fun playing when I do pull it out, but I'm going to pull it out every now and then. And I'm pretty much going to do that when, it's like, you know what? I've got an hour to kill. I just want a fun little cooperative game. I can do two-handed solo, three-handed solo, or I got someone else. We're just going to, just play something really light and just have a little bit of fun playing, and get it out, play it, put it away. It's a great game for that. So as always, I always recommend to try a game before you buy it, just to make sure that it's in your wheelhouse. This is one I'm definitely going to say try before you buy, but I think it's one that a lot of people are, regardless, I think are going to have a lot of fun playing this game. Well, thank you once again for joining me today. As always, I please ask you to like this video on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on Facebook, and even on X. And please leave me a comment on any one of those platforms, and I'll get to those comments just as soon as I can. And also, if you like the content I provide and you haven't subscribed to my channel, I ask you to go ahead and click on that subscription button, join my little family, and even click on that bell and be notified when I drop new videos. Also, if you like the videos that I post here, I also do post videos over on the Discriminating Gamers channel. I'll do some unboxing, some reviews, and we'll do some playthroughs over there as well. I will leave a link to Cody's channel in the details down below. The other day my daughter came up to me and she says, "Dad, I'm really sad it's Monday." I said, "I know, me too. But just think, 2 days ago, it was a Saturday."